Today on Fine Home Talks, I'm here with Nikki, the CEO of Plymouth Glass. So thank you so much for coming.
You're
It's
welcome.
a beautiful day.
Yeah, thanks
You
for
wouldn't
having
know
us.
it. We're a little cavey here to make sure the lighting's all nice and pretty, but
Still really homey though. I like this.
it's a vibe. We're trying to we need to bring in a little bit more color, but you know how it is running a business, trying to like live our life, stay
Yeah.
healthy.
Add it to the list of like 30 other things you have.
Love, yes, 100%. And it's funny when, you know, sometimes like Dave and I are talking to other people who work a traditional job and not building a business and don't really understand. It's just a different way of working and living that sometimes intertwines, most days intertwine. It's hard to like describe that way to some people who just don't work the way that we work, and it's but you completely understand.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's different than a typical 8, 9 to 5. Even if you're putting in the long hours, it's just different. You go home, you're still checking emails.
100%.
I'm driving down the road. I'm like, oh, let me solicit that company. I've never heard of them. My mind is so different. I'm looking at billboards
Yes.
and I'm not looking at billboards to solicit other people. I'm looking at them like, oh, well, that's a good board for me. Or
Does that work?
Yeah.
Your head
What's
is
clicking?
just, yes, and you're always on. You're always on, and it's not because you always necessarily have to be on, but in the way that my brain works, it's like it's okay. Well, what could we do better? What am I looking at? How, like, your brain is just changed. And it's an interesting way to live. We're walking blue and we're talking about what happened today, you know, doing the download. What do we need to focus on? What's the big picture? What's our best use of time? It's not a normal dog walking conversation for a lot of
No, not at all. My
people.
kids laugh because
Yeah.
some of their first conversations with me are, how was work? How many windshields did you fix today? Was anything not right today? They'll ask me, funny questions
That's
that not
cool,
a
though.
typical 6 or my 10-year-old's really into it.
Yeah.
So he's really into the business. So
That's great.
he'll come up with questions or of course ideas about how he should be on the billboard. And
I love that. Kids sell. I feel like that kids and dogs and animals, I feel like really kill it. So I love it. It's wonderful to have you on, and I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. I know that everybody's time is valuable. So to have you here is phenomenal. And I just wanted to say that from the get-go. So thank you.
thank you. Thanks for having us.
And to be so local, which is really kind of fun too, because we try to do, have people on that's as local as possible. And you're literally, if we really had to, we could walk. No one would want to walk, but you're that close. So
I think it was 4.8 miles exactly.
yeah, I was like, the commute's not far. So that's a really great thing. So for our conversation today, I kind of like to chat with you. I'm trying to focus on the buying and selling aspect from real estate and thinking about your company and how you fit into that in terms of remodeling and, when a buyer walks into a space, this is happening more and more. There's a ton of buyers, not enough houses to sell right now. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are making a lot of concessions on what they're looking for. And this is when a referral to you guys comes into play that, listen, you hate that shower door. It could be different, right?
Yeah.
You hate the slider or there's a damage to the glass. They could be fixed, and buyers currently, as we're filming, are less in a position of power. So normally, right, like during inspections, we could say, oh, that has a chip in it, or there's damage to the glass, or to a part of the door. It's not necessarily maybe as negotiable as it once was. So in terms of something like that, for example, a shower door, that's something you guys do, right?
Yeah, we do a ton of shower doors.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
ranging from, regular stock items all the way to custom. So you get some people that say, hey, this is just a bathtub, it's the kids' bathroom, or maybe it's, a condo, one bath, one shower. We can do something simple, sliding doors or barn doors or something a little bit more modern, but still keeping the cost effective.
Yeah.
And then we do things all the way up to, a custom built shower, which I've had somebody's that was the size of a walk-in closet.
Yeah.
Where you're building everything from scratch. But the nice thing about the custom showers, as long as you can do them, because again, they do require tile. You cannot have the fiberglass insert. You have to have the tile.
Yeah.
Just because
certain
of
specs.
Yeah. People really enjoy those because they're not the added cost of custom. We build everything right from scratch.
Okay, that's interesting. And a lot of places don't do that. They're
No,
sourcing.
you can order a brand out where you'll pay about 3 times as much because that brand, it already comes pretty much pre-assembled with the hardware. Think of it like a package or deal ready to buy in the store. Think of like, the little snacks they have in the grocery store now, right?
Yes.
You can buy a whole watermelon or you can buy the pack of watermelon for the same price and you're getting a quarter of what's in a whole watermelon.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
It's
that's
very
a great
similar.
analogy. Good.
But we have the technology to build it and design it in home and do it right.
Nice.
Yeah, do it right on the spot for them.
And have designers, which is huge too.
Yes. Yep. We have a team of designers that will put it all together so you can see what it looks like before you even make the move. You can see and say, I don't like this panel on this side. Maybe I want it on the other side.
And they have the knowledge too, right? So like from a buyer's perspective and just people, let's forget buyer sellers, doesn't matter. People, there's a lot of people who can't imagine something or they don't know what they don't know. Right. So like the input of your designers is so valuable to say, actually, you're not going to want it because you have a cabinet here or, I'm just making it up, but like design wise, why don't we do this instead? Because it's going to be more functional.
Yeah. So you'll have a lot of people that come in and say, oh, I have a shower head on this side or I want to hinge the door on this side and we'll bring it right up to them. Okay. You might want to hinge it on this side because when you put your hand in and start the shower in the morning, you don't want to get drenched with cold water.
Right.
So little things like that, or, the door swing, are you going to hit a toilet? Are you going to hit a vanity? How tall is the tallest person in the home? Do you want something to be taller than the way they are? It all depends on preference. So we try and get in there. We try and actually mark stuff out when we first measure it so that they understand where and how it's going to be set up. So that along with the 3D picture sometimes really sets it in stone.
I think most episodes, if not every single, and if I don't say it enough, this is what and why we should be supporting small local businesses who know what they're doing, have a operation that is built to serve, not just built to sell. And that's the difference because you could go into the big box stores and buy anything. They don't care. They want you to buy something. And the difference between going into a big box store and getting something or going online and buying a door, which by the way, you can do, that is an option. It is night and day and at a competitive price. Now, mind you, it might not be the same price, but you have to be compensated for all of what you've built. You have to be compensated for the operation you have and the value you bring to people, which in my mind, it is an invaluable asset to have that kind of team to be behind you to think it through and to help you along.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think you just brought up 2 awesome points. First, passion, right? We have passion.
Yeah.
The people that work in my team are amazing. Kathy is one of the reps that handles the showers and the home design. She's wonderful. She's got such a passion for it. That woman in 12 years of working with me hasn't taken one day off.
Wow.
Not one.
Wow.
She's loyal. She's genuine to not only the company, but her customers. It's funny, you'll look at a work order that she designs and she'll put in there, has 2 dogs, bring treats. She genuinely
Love
has
it.
such she loves the animals,
Yeah.
she loves the kids.
Yeah.
She has a passion for what she does and she enjoys her customers. So I think that's really important when you're working with people to really sit down and say, I want to get to know this person, not
Yep.
just another sale. Who are they? Who am I working with? What do they need? What can I truly help them with?
Yeah, 100%. And I'm the same way. Like, not many realtors will tell people, I don't think you're ready to sell, or I don't think you're ready to buy. And 2 days ago, I had a conversation with a buyer, and I said, listen, I think renting is a better option for you right now. Feeling very frustrated with the market, but I'll never compromise who I am to get a sale, right? Like my job is to serve. My job is to knowledge first, empowerment first through knowledge, but also like telling it like it is, good, bad, and ugly. I'll walk away from a listing. If it's not a good fit for me. But I believe that's in service, right, to everybody. And sounds like your company, and I know this to be true because I'm a customer of your company, is aligned in that way. I interrupted you in your flow. You had mentioned two things, and I don't know if you remember the second. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I did interject a little.
That's okay, no
But
worries.
we could come.
The
Maybe
first one
we can
was
come back.
passion,
Yeah,
and I think the second one I was talking about was the quality.
yeah,
The quality alone.
yep.
Quality pays for itself. I think you kind of, I don't know. I say this a lot. I don't know about other people, but quality is just jeopardized more so than ever lately.
Agree.
And I think that that's really important when you're buying something. Buying it with quality, knowing that it's going to last, knowing it has a warranty, knowing that
Mm,
somebody can back up their product and say that this is a great product and they have the customer base to prove so.
yeah, yeah. Agree. I find it more and more with clothing. Like
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not a big shopper personally. It just I know it's a odd thing for a female to say, but I'm just not. But I'm always like looking for a store that has good quality that I can buy, knowing it will last. And it's just like a constant problem. Like, uh, where could we buy stuff that actually holds up? And to your point, that you can call somebody if it doesn't,
Yeah.
right? Like mistakes
Hmm.
happen, things happen. No company is perfect. No, nothing is perfect in this world. But if something does happen, you know, having local a business that looks great. I mean, if you go to see your showroom, like it's like
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
But that there's a human to speak to, right?
Always.
And
Always.
like, let's figure it out together type of thing. So in that circumstance, buyers walk in, they don't love what they're getting. What's the process for them? Like a shower door, for example. Obviously it begins with a phone call. Can they come in? How should they go about it? Can you kind of walk us through it?
Sure, absolutely. So it really depends on what the buyer wants to do. Do they want to revamp the whole bathroom? Do they want to revamp just the shower? Or do they want to revamp just the glass? Because we only do the glass insert around.
Right.
So if they say they have a fiberglass, which is one of those plastic inserts in there, they want to pull that out and do tile. They would have to find a carpenter or a contractor,
Right.
which again, they can contact somebody on their own or we can recommend somebody.
Yeah.
There's always people we work with.
You can call us.
Exactly.
The contracting is here to help. Yeah. Right.
So we call people like you,
Yeah.
or we'll coordinate and work together and say, hey, call them. They're going to do the tile. When the tile's all complete, give us a call.
Right.
If not, we'll take a look at it. Okay, where are you in the stages of it? Have you completed the tile? Or are you going to keep the fiberglass insert? Because we can work with that also.
Right. Yep.
And once they're at the point where they're ready for glass, we essentially just send out an installer. They do the measuring as well. We like them to do the measuring because then they see the project beginning to end and they know what they're working with. I've never been a fan of sending somebody else out to measure and then somebody else installing it because it's just a different picture. I like them to see what they're getting into before they do it.
Nice. Yeah. So, and you're not allowing as a word, but you know what I mean? A buyer to come in and say, we need a door that's 60 inches. I'm making it up, or, whatever amount of feet. You're saying, oh, that's great. let's go out and double check.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's a fun little game.
it's so
Yeah.
particular with the showers. And, we do have folks that are contractors that come in and ask, oh, I'm going to order this. And we tell them, this is, you understand you're taking this, take it or leave it. And,
Right.
Some do. We've had some that have made a couple mistakes and now they say, just send your guy out and measure it.
Yeah.
Because even if the walls are out a 16th of an inch, you have to account for that. And we actually set the glass out a 16th of an inch.
Okay.
Because,
yeah. It's so precise.
Yeah. Water is going to find its way.
Right.
So you want to make sure that everything is to the T.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Let me take one step back. Does it depend on, let's just pretend that they just want a different piece of glass, maybe a different, it's clear they want it to be frosted or whatever, but it's just a glass replacement.
Yep.
Is there a quote unquote normal timetable or turn time that you can share with our audience, or is it so dependent on each job?
There's always a case by case,
Yeah.
but on the standard, I say around 10 days after 10 business days.
Gotcha.
From the date of the order.
All
yeah.
right.
So it's not a terrible lead frame. You're not waiting, 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
Which, some of these items you are nowadays waiting for, or if it's back ordered, forget it.
Well, and you have more control, right? From your production standpoint and not always. And there's, I'm sure, a lot of custom things that maybe take longer, but in this circumstance, there's a lot that you're doing in house.
Yeah, because we're dealing with raw glass.
Right.
Raw glass, raw material.
Yeah.
And putting it together. It makes it a lot easier for us to increase lead times.
That's awesome.
Or I'm sorry, decrease lead times.
Right. Yes. I heard what you said and I just said it clearly in my head and I'm like, I know what you meant. So, but thank you for clarifying that. All right. Awesome. Shower doors. In terms of what other glass would you help in a residential situation? Anything that literally is glass? Like, I'm not even being funny, but are there other obvious or not obvious things that maybe you guys do that people wouldn't think about?
I think there are those little onesie twosie things that we do, but really anything glass related. So we have a full shop where we have a gentleman that works out there. All he does is fixes windows and screens and tabletops. He cuts mirrors out there. I mean, we're doing everything from, fireplace glass in the wintertime, changing that out, which is a unique thing.
And I think that's another thing that people wouldn't, that's what I was trying to get at. Like, I wouldn't necessarily know, that you would fix a screen.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So springtime, of course, we have a boatload of them right now.
Of course.
It's an easy drop off, we call you in a couple of days, let you know it's ready.
Nice.
Quick turnaround time. You don't have to wait a long time. And again, it's being done right in-house, right in town.
Yeah, I love it. This just came up in one of our rental properties. We have a little basement window, that the glass somehow always happens magically somehow. No one knows how, but it got broke.
Yeah. They just found it.
Yeah, right. How does that work where, again, is it just the phone call, someone comes out type of thing? It's not, does a picture suffice? How would that work from a replacement standpoint to get a quote?
So you already seem a little bit more well-versed in this than most people. You said, oh, would a picture help?
Yeah.
You're already onto the thing. So giving us a call and saying, hey, I can send over a picture of it. There's the option to, if you have a handyman in the house or somebody, handy woman that can say, I can take this window out and bring it right in. We have people bring windows right into the shop. We can fix it right in there.
Gotcha.
And then we have folks that say, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to break it. You guys come on out. We'll come out. We'll either measure it and order it if it's a special order item.
Okay.
Or we'll replace the glass right then and there. Typically in those basement windows, it's just a stock type of item, usually a single pane piece of glass.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, I know where you're located. Can you tell people where the shop is.
Yeah. So we're located right at 142 East Main Street in Thomaston, right on Route 6.
And it's such a cute little town. If
Yeah.
anybody hasn't been to Thomaston, the town has a lot to offer. And
Very cute.
Yeah, very cute.
We're also potentially opening up another shop in Weathersfield.
Love
so we can
that.
share that.
That's exciting.
We're in the process of it right now.
Cool.
We've wanted to expand for a while. Really just kind of want to branch out. I feel like I'm still young and eager, so why not do it now?
Love
because
it.
in 10 years, I'm going to say kaput.
Yeah.
No more.
Listen, I get it. It takes a lot of energy to keep everything going and a lot of time. So I get it. That's super exciting.
Thank you.
Is there a place right now that you won't go to? Meaning, will you serve the whole state?
The entire state of Connecticut.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important thing for people to know too, that there are companies who set boundaries with like location, and that's fine for them, but that you'll go anywhere. So that's really cool.
Yeah. I tell people from Greenwich to Ledyard every day. And then we have our crew of the auto team.
Which I've used personally. I've actually
Thank you.
I've actually gone and I've seen your showroom before, but I've been in the office and then walked to Milestone Pizza right down the road to get myself a salad because I was starving, and then walked back. And by the time I was back, my car was ready. This time of year, especially with just getting through winter, rocks are, I mean, stuff is always getting kicked up, but there's a lot of it. And our company had a couple of windshields that you guys took care of.
Yeah, that was cool. I recognized that
Yeah,
coming in.
That was awesome.
You're like, how does she know what we drive?
Yeah, I know. Well, no, because I wasn't sure that that speaks to how involved you really are. You know, there's not many CEOs of a medium to large size company that would even know that. So it's pretty cool. So great. We have call if you are in a position from a really buyer or seller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I'm going into a pre-listing appointment with potential sellers and I see a broken screen or chipped window, that's something I'd like to take care of right away because it's so obvious. And
minimal too, minimal cost.
Minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, and even if it's not minimal, it's something that's so small yet big. Like it's just not something I ever want to put on a buyer because it's your first impression. So we like to get the house as good as it could possibly be, look the best it could possibly be for pictures and then for showings. So even if it's a custom piece of glass, it's still not a big deal, right? Like a custom window type of thing. But you guys can handle that.
Yeah, everything is really going to be custom. There's really no standard, quote unquote, anymore.
Okay.
And to be honest, we don't really even see some of the old standard sizes we had for things were patio doors, for example.
All right.
Those sliding patio doors, they're an insulated glass. We used to see them standard across the board. We don't even see those that much anymore. Everything's just so custom. Everything is custom at this point.
That's good to know. I didn't realize that. Fun fact.
Yeah.
What would people, do you think, be surprised about your industry? Like what's going on, or is there something that you could, I know that's a curveball question, but is there something that people would be surprised about? Like, I don't know, I'm just making it up, but most people have to get their windshield fixed 3 times in 5 years. I don't know. I don't know if you have any. It is a complete curveball question, so if you don't have anything to
There's a couple things actually that come to mind. Of course, like everybody else, right? Inflation. But I think that people don't realize how much inflation really affected some businesses. So my father had owned the business for 40 years. I had worked with him. I had run the business for him, and then he retired and I took over. So I still bounce things off of him. Well, at one point we had received a couple increases of 10% in raw glass. Okay, 10% here, 10% there, a 13% increase. All in all, call it 33% approximately. We received an email one day letting us know that we were going up 40%, 40%, and it was happening in a week. I called my dad. I said, "Are you sitting?" I said to him, "Are you sitting down?" And he said, "Why?" And I said, "You're never going to believe this." I said, "In all your years, tell me if you've had this." And I said, "It's a 40% increase." And he was like, "Holy, you know what?"
Yeah.
He couldn't believe it. He had been doing it for 40 plus years, and he was like, I've never seen it. So I think it's interesting for people to realize what COVID and inflation and everything else that's going on really did to some of these smaller and some of these bigger companies. All of us kind of took a hit.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because everything across the board, from our food prices, but I saw maybe it was around Valentine's Day or a recent, maybe even more recent holiday. Actually, it was the Easter holiday, about chocolate, the raw cacao prices and how much they've gone up. And you think about like our local small businesses, you have Fascias, you have, one of my favorites in Bethlehem, I can't think of it, but there's local chocolate places around here. And you have to think about everybody is impacted in every stage of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to understand why, a window fix maybe a couple years ago cost, I don't even know what would be a old price.
Years ago, maybe $150 for us to come out and replace a window. Now it's practically double that.
Yeah, see. And looking at it, people aren't necessarily remembering and valuing that you as a company will not survive. You can't do business that way. Like, you can't absorb it all, because you won't be in business. You will literally have to go bankrupt. And there's so much overhead for businesses that people do not at all think about, remember, consider. Your employees are in trucks and you offer the auto glass in your home. So that's a whole other set of costs that people aren't realizing, let alone that 40% of the increase of raw material. That's insane. And it's hard for people to understand. But this is an important conversation, because it's everybody's shop local, support small business. It's easy to say, but it's an important thing to remember, the value of doing that. So we're all still around, and you could still have an amazing showroom in Thomaston and open a new one in Wethersfield, and to offer that service. Because, guys, if not, everything is just going to be online and
centralized. Yeah.
Like, think about the dystopian factor and what happens to our small towns like Thomaston when businesses like yours potentially go away. And it's so important to think about that. Everybody needs to make money. There needs to be built-in overhead for all companies, including myself. I'm a realtor. It's a tough time to be a realtor right now. We're under fire, So I want to say thank you again for this conversation. We talked about where you're located. People can go on your website to find you too.
Yeah, our website's great. It's got everything you need. We have a portfolio with photos of jobs and showers and everything we've done on there.
Love it.
Just www.plymouthglass.com.
Awesome.
And obviously always give us a call. We have 6 full-time CSRs that are in the office handling our phone calls. We don't have a call center. I really pride myself on that. That's really big to me. So
I like that. And tell people, what is the CSR? I know, but
it's the customer service reps. And I don't
love it.
I don't like calling them that, because they are so much more than that. I call them, when I introduce them, I call them my bread and butter.
I love it. Well, I love that we're talking to somebody local as well, who knows where certain parts and towns are located in Connecticut, because sometimes you call these numbers and they have no idea where Connecticut even is, let alone, what part you're in. So thank you again. This conversation was amazing. And I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was nice chatting and
it really was.
Getting to share our side of it too, along with you guys.
Love it.